session. I'm going to be looking at doing this par 3 today. Trying to get this hole 11 going. Let me know if I'm live, if anyone's listening. Hopefully the audio is okay and you can all hear, because we are going to be trying to get this into some sort of par 3. This hole 11 here. A nice big chunk of land to work from, so first thing I want to do for this hole, I want it to be raised up quite a bit higher than this. So let's set about getting some height. Got a rough idea of what I want to do for the hole, so it's just how much I can work it off that other tee I've got coming off of here. Not encroaching too much. I'm going to have to come back quite far. We'll just knock all that land away in a minute. I want to get like a cutaway beach, so I'm going to take a big chunk out of this, what I'm raising here, in a minute. Let's flatten this bit out, get this up, and I'm going to have a slight cutaway behind. I probably want it in that direction. I want to make it, I'm not sure the distance of the hole yet. Let's have a look. Need to flatten this bit down. I am using a hole from, I'm blagging a hole from another course that I've been watching on YouTube, from a course in Tasmania, King Island. I'm not going to directly try and match the hole, but I'm pretty much going to nick the whole idea of it. So it's just kind of getting this sort of, it's like a beach down below here, like a really rocky beach with an elevated tee box, sort of a big dip in the land below you, and then the green sitting up a little bit higher up in the distance. So just need to get that bit of land down in front. Get that down there. Let's get a tee box in. Let's try and get something like that going for a minute. So the land below, I think the green is going to be more shaped both ways. So if we go this one, so there's like a little bit in front of the green and then a big dip down. Got a little bit of land to the left, which we've got there with loads of rock work around it. A little raised up area sort of here. And then this is sort of a high, not so much a cliff, but just like a hill bit that comes through up through here. Kind of like that. I don't want to shut off too much, because it's going to be a lot of planting on the back of that, with sort of a waste bit of land that I'm not really going to use unless I bring the tee box. No, because I want the tee for here, over there. Just going to have to make that all waste. Coming off the back of this green. Should see that, there's not a lot to see out there other than coast, so not too worried about that. I haven't got a good view of what's in front of me at the moment. I'll dip that down a bit, front of my tee box. Cut this bit of land in a little bit more. Definitely this front bit here. And here. Then I need to sort of raise the whole little. I need to get like a little beach in there really. So let's try and get a beach going. That for a minute. Oh. Get that a bit higher. It's not the one. Let's try this one. And try and get another bit over there in the back. This is largely going to be mainly rock coming off this point on this beach. I'm going to cut this beach away again in a minute. Just trying to get everything set up at the start so we can see where we got to work through. So that's that. And I just want to take a little bit of that away now. So we'll use this shape. So yeah, this is off what was it? What did I say it was? King Island, Tasmania. Been watching a bit of Lee Kwan Golf, and they was doing a little tour of some Australian courses. They did Barnbougle and they did this one. They look really cool. Hey mate, hey Chuck. Yeah, hopefully it's going to work, mate, and get it going. Thanks for coming along and watching, buddy. Just going to cut a beach in first because I want to taper some rock down, and it's going to be quite rocky this hole. Actually, what I've been doing with these beaches is putting bedrock down first and then overlaying the subsoil afterwards, the sand. Seems to get a lot better sort of finish. It just looks a bit more wild and rugged. I'm not going for pristine tropical beaches. And if I do that and then lay down a bit of sand afterwards, I get a nicer effect rather than just putting the sand down. So you can overlay different subsoils and you'll get different textures. This just seems to get a little bit more of a wild beach look. We'll get that in there. We've got that sort of mottled look now. Now looking at it, just looking at what I'm sort of working from here. Green's going to be back here. There's going to be a nice bunker here, which is cut into the ground and raised up a little bit. So let's get that in. It's that sort of shape. Make it reasonably high. Now I want to taper the land down a little bit in front of that, so we're going to go flatten. So yes, I'm actually working off something on YouTube at the moment. I've just got a still image of what I'm working off, which I don't always do, but I fancy trying doing this hole. I'm going to do a live hole. I want to have something to work from. I tend to do sort of best stuff when you're just in your own little world, but I want to have something to work from so you guys can. Well, it just gives me something, doesn't it? If it works, it works. We ain't going to follow it completely. We can always just change little bits as we go. And we're going to get a little bit of bedrock in this cliff face. So looking at this Need to cut away that land round the back, so pretty much this is all going to be rock up to this shadow. Along here, yeah, we'll come up here. We can overlay with grass again in a minute, so I'm not too fussed, but we're definitely going to bring rock all the way around here. Back to that sort of point there, so that's fine. We'll bring that round. Get that in there. So that's that section. That bunker I would like a little bit further over, I think. So let's just lower that, flatten that back off. Get that tapered down a little bit. Get our bunker up here. Actually, if we cut. Hey Greg, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get it looking alright, mate. Like I said, I'm working off something today, which is not what I normally do, so I'm just going to use a course that we've got on YouTube with a particular hole. That's alright, mate. It's my pleasure, buddy. My pleasure. I'll be doing it anyway, so I thought I might as well come on and do a little live. I quite like doing par 3s, and I can generally do them quite quickly. So, see what we can get going. So that's that part. We can taper this bit down so we can get a better view of that bunker. Hopefully we'll get that in there. Green, looking at it on the picture I've got, is going to be coming round the back of that. So let's get green in. Let's go back to that. Sorry if I don't communicate via the messages as much as I'd like to, but they only pop up on my screen on my PS5 for about 2 or 3 seconds and then they drop off and I can't see them all. That's kind of the shape I want to work from. And then I'm going to have a bit that tapers off the edge of this hill here into this cut. So that's going to be this shape. How you been, mate? Yeah, I'm alright. I'm alright. Same old, same old. Nothing much happening, mate. You doing a live tonight? So we're just going to try and get that. I think that green goes a bit too far back there now. Just take the edge off that. Just doing a little, it's my latest course. You'll be on in a few hours, sweet. Try and catch a bit, mate, before I go to bed. You always come on quite late for over here. It's normally about 1ish. 1 AM. I'm going to try. Have you seen any of this new course yet, B-Dan? Quite excited about this one. So that waypoint is not showing because we're way too short. I need to check the distance of this hole. Nice. Yeah, it came out quite well, that course, didn't it, for playability wise. Definitely got the shot shaping I was after. And just making those greens the way I did, it was fast and firm, you know what I mean? It just really pushed it up as for a challenge, didn't it? Yeah, I was pleased with the strategy of that course. It's 177, 178, that's pretty cool, that's fine. What have I just done with my pin? I've moved it, and I say here somewhere there. Donut. It's Get that back in the middle and bring the green grid back. So that's cool. Yeah, so the only real, let's bring this whole green closer. The only real sort of challenge of this hole from what I could see is obviously flying it over this bunker. So we can get a pin in. Just need to squeeze that bit of green down a little bit. Let's flatten it actually. Tucking in a pin just behind there. There's a couple of obvious places for pins that I can see at the moment. Let's try this shape. Try and get that flat down there. Whole green's going to be a bit skewed at the moment till we get some order. So there. Just trying to get that a bit flatter behind that bunker so it's steep at the front but not so crazy at the back. And then we need to flatten this whole back section. Once we've got it flat we can start adding the contours back in how we want them. So I don't really want to leave a massive false front like that. I'd like that to be up a little bit higher with a little bit of, I want to bring that whole bit of land out really, I think, in front of that so it's not so sharp a drop off. No, I'm going to leave it like that actually. I want a bit of drop off at the front. Means if I put a pin in there you can run down, which is fine. Let's just get that little bit of flat there. Hopefully we can do it reasonably quick. And then the other sort of obvious place for a pin is going to be off this ridge. So I want to get this ridge in that gap there. So where it is at the moment's out askew. So let's just flatten that off. Once we've got it flatter, we can start raising it back up again to where we want it. Boom, boom, boom. That's that bit. And then we'll go to landscape flatten. Ooh, that one. And we'll try and create that into there. And then raise that little bit up behind. So that all blends in a bit better, like that. That's just looking at what we can do. We can get a pin right that back corner. How can we leave that? I'll just leave that bit for now. But I don't want it quite as tucked around the back there. Or shall I? It's not doing any harm for a minute, is it? So now we can raise this. Try and creep this lip up again on this front one. Not affecting the green too much behind. Let's get it it's nice and even in the middle. See what we've got behind. It's fine. Yeah, I don't want to start rushing it. The whole course, my whole ethos for this course has been to take my time. I ain't rushing courses. It's always been a trait of mine to try and get them out as quick as I can. I like the taper of that, so we're just going to use the raise in there. Just to drop that down, keep that taper. And get this right. I think I just need to bring up the sides. Let's try raising these sides. That's one. Nice hot evening here tonight. That should be 2. So I will be moving around quite fast as well, sorry. And then we'll just shrink this sand down a little bit so it sits in that hole a little bit tighter. just drag it down ever so slightly, or shall we just see what we'll run a little bit of grass topsoil along the top of that bunker. It doesn't, it should just start to blend it in a little bit more. We'll get that look, and then we'll lay a bit of the subsoil B along there. We should get a slightly darker look across the top. Just gonna see, now I've done that spline, now I could just, if I'm not quite happy, I can just move the whole spline down a little bit till I get the sort of height of the bunker that I want. It's looking okay at the moment, but still want to get a bit more of this flutter. What's that going to do to me? I need to get that edge flat through here. Let's try that. It's looking pretty decent. Then over this side there's quite a little bit of flat area here, so we'll use this shape, get that going through there. That's that. And then behind the green it cuts in a little bit looking at the back there, so I want to get that a bit tighter through there, so that brings that back section into play a bit more. It's starting to take shape a little bit now, and we'll just run another little bit of bedrock because I just sunk the last bit. So where was we? Bedrock spline. Just bring that round, join that up to there, run it back round. By doing that we get a nice sunken look under the water there as well, bedrock from above, so that looks quite cool. That's fine, we've just missed a bit of bedrock here, which is that bit. So we just need to drag one of these points out. Where can we drag a point there? Come on. Just drag that down now. That's fine. That's cool. Let's have a look at our distance if we get a pin over here, so we'll look land wise. That's going on there. Still definitely want to pronounce this bunker a bit higher. Do I really want it that high? That's a bit silly, isn't it? I think I just need to go smaller with the sand. Sometimes you're having this problem. Just bring your sand into the hole more and it sort of swallows up. And you get that sort of look you're looking for. It's just this section needs to be lower through here. So we'll go to the raise. Just drop that down a little bit. So we can see a little bit more of that green through there. What's that look like? That's fine. We've still got to run a little bit of fairway. It's only a skimmy little fairway that sits around the edge. Let's find this point here where we can lower. Try that. And I just want to drag that up again. It's the only real feature at the moment is this bunker, so I need to get it right. That's kind of how I want it. And then looking at this, a lot of this is all going to be rock, where I've pretty much put the bedrock. The rock's going to go all the way up here. I know, they look like Lord of the Rings, don't they? Some of those courses, mate, in New Zealand. It's just mental. Yeah, I only started watching them recently. When I was looking for a video on Barn Boogle, and I ended up stumbling across him, and I thought it was quite funny watching them. They look pretty cool. And I sort of started watching a few of them and seeing some of the courses, and some wicked courses. Especially, I mean, these sort of big dune courses, that's where I was getting the inspiration from, the Barn Boogle style, but it's not quite, it's not a copy of it. See, I was always looking at making something more northern Australia, more Queenslandy, because that's the sort of area I used to visit a lot. So that was the area I know well. But just looking at some of those courses, they're so cool. Especially that Lost Farm Barn Boogle one looks wicked. Crazy cutting. Don't know why I'm drifting off over here. I saw this earlier and thought that doesn't look right, so that's why I'm doing this. I just wanted to get this fairway up a little bit higher. Sorry about this. And I'm going to bring those bunkers up a bit higher as well in a second. As I go, the more I play test, the more I see things that I think, oh, that just needs tweaking. And I've been lazy in the past and just not bothered to do things, but I want to do everything exactly how I want to do it in this course. No compromise. So I'm just going to try and creep this up now. And we'll jump back to what we was doing. Get that up a bit higher. Through that. And take these up. That's subsoil B. I want subsoil A. Where are you? Let's cut a little bit. So once I've pretty much got the rough idea of the hole, I'm just going to go start doing how I want to do it now. I'm not going to copy the hole exactly. It's just a rough idea. That'll do for a minute. That's fine. Just off the back of that one. And I just want to run quickly. Quick subsoil B through there. Just to get a little darker, a bit across the top. Don't want to take it all the way. For that there, just for a bit of shading and a bit of definition. Oh, just deleted that spline. Let's be that one. Where was we? Create surfaces, subsoil B. Get that across there. Okay. Just trying to make it bleed into the bunker a little bit more off the top of this. Which is fine. We should really do one through there as well. Now I can see it. And I am going to go back to our hole. I'm a bit of a plum like that now. That's that. Okay. So dropping back down to where we was. So let's have a look at it off the tee and see what we can see. Let's get a bit of fairway on here. So we can play our shots. Where's everybody watching in from today? Anyone from the States in? Interesting to know where you all are. Red tee. Let's delete that one for now. I'll delete the tee position. Yes. Just want to move this one. Oh god, that's so annoying. All I can see is I'm just north of B. I've got to get my live chat up on my phone, Beta. I can never seem to access it. Whenever I click on my iPhone and just go to YouTube, I can see it's playing. Bloody won't let me click on the actual live stream. Which really gives me the shit. Was the B, I'm going to guess, Boston. God knows if I'm right, but let's go back over it. Let's have a look at this. Play hole 11. So we need to get rid of all this stuff in the way at the moment. And I want to drop that tee box, everything in front of that tee box down to expose that beach. We're kind of getting the look we want. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what we need to do. We'll start the rock work in a minute. Just want to get the main bit set up so I know where to put my rock work. I've lost where we are. I'm going to make this a bit taller. See how that affects the course too much. Right, that's that, that's that. Let's dip this land down in front. So I'm going to take it away quite sharply because I don't want it in the way. Trying to work as quick as I can for you all to keep it interesting. Get to the fun part of doing the actual planting and stuff. This is why I wanted to copy a hole for this live stream, because I can pretty much work quite quickly on my own, but when you're trying to do stuff and talk and blah blah blah, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So the view now, let's creep that waypoint forward a bit, get a bit closer to the edge of this and the fairway brush, straighten it up a bit with that tee, and then we're just going to get rid of all the crap that's around here that's pissing me off. That one I'll do for a minute. Let's get rid of all this crap out of the way. See what the view looks like now. At least we can see the beach now. Just looking at rock work I'm going to be doing, how much I've got to do. Start on the point. I think we're pretty much there to start working on the rock work. Most of the stuff we're going to be doing after this is going to be, yeah, we could do getting in a little bit of fairway, I suppose. Just get a little bit of fairway in just around the edge, because I'd like that to run off a little bit and dip behind that hole. I don't want it obviously going into the water behind, but if you was long and got a really bad kick off the back, I think you deserve to go in the water. So let's get a little bit of fairway in quickly. I started Greg in about, you sure it's 2020. I started doing the first one. I just started doing it basically. I think the first thing I did was just by eye and videos and stuff like that, which I'd recommend to everybody to do, is I just did St Andrews and Augusta because they weren't in the game and I was playing a lot with my mates. I just wanted to do, let's come down here a bit, I just wanted to do those two courses so we could have a go at playing them. Obviously I didn't use LiDAR because I'm only on the console, but that runoff there is going to be okay, so I'm just thinking out loud. So yeah, that was what I started, that was what inspired me to start doing designing. And once I'd done those two courses, I thought I'd have a go at myself, try and do a course. And the first one, like everybody's first one, was just a complete madness. because we all have delusions of grandeur when we first start. We think, oh, I'm going to do a massive... Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. So he was there at the start, mate. That was the old curse days, that was. They're long gone. Yeah, I mean, most designers when they first start, we all think, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I have a massive raised area here and huge elevation changes and drops and dips and all sorts of shit going on. But until you can learn to sculpt, which takes years to be able to do it well, sort of look at something and think, that's exactly what I want to do. I can do that in, well, how long have we taken to do this so far? How long we've been on? Half an hour. We've pretty much got the basis of the whole sculpted how we wanted it. I'm just going to do a little bit of run off the back here. Once you can sculpt, you can do anything. It's just your imagination then, and once you've got the sculpting down, then, like I say, it's just whatever hole you see in your head, you can do it. How well you do it is obviously a different matter, but that's where we all try and get to. See, I might leave a little bit, just I don't want too much run off at the back, so we've got to make all that flat and just try and find that little point where only the last few beads probably run off. So if you get real close. So in order to do that, we've got these big wiggly lines here which look awful. So when you get things like that, just delete points until it starts to bring it all back in. It's normally because you've got too many points. So we just deleted one point there. We've pretty much got rid of everything we wanted to get rid of. And then you can drag handles out and just start shaping it like that. And then this point over here shouldn't be there. Don't need that. It brings that back out, and we should start to get a little bit straighter through there now. And then we can still go edit and smooth to try and get a little bit of smoothness back into the edges of the greens coming off there. So like I say, I don't really want all these last few grids to be all red, so because everything's pretty flat at the moment, we can use a real bog standard flat tool and just get a real straight line going through there until we get all that sort of green looking again. And then that will just leave what's the other side of it will run off. So that's looking okay at the moment. It's just one bit here. How can we do that? That's just going to move the whole thing. Try that. So now we've obviously dragged that back through there. We're going to get that back, but I can move the whole spline this time back. It should go back to be green and the red gone. Try that for a minute. And it's just a case of what I like to do is make sure that all the... See, I've got the same sort of thickness coming round, coming round, coming round. This point is a bit too far out, so we're going to drop that back in a little bit. I'm going to pinch off a couple of inches here and there, but that point needs to come out a tiny bit. And obviously this point here needs to come out quite a lot to get that all sort of flowing around the same sort of width. So we're just going to bring that one out as well. You just find obviously as you do one, you've got to do the next one. The next one's a pain in the arse, but this is designing. So we get roughly the same sort of thickness all the way around, give or take. That's fine. I haven't gone too high here because I don't want to have a massive cut off the back there, and I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with the top of this, whether I'm going to put some vegetation up there. So I want to use a hole around the back here, so I just need to flatten a T, sorry, around the back here. I'd like to flatten that out a little bit more. raise it? Shall I raise it? Let's try that. It's going to be a bloody hard pin to hit. Should be able to get something going through there. I don't mind all this running off through here, these little runoffs on the edges here, because we can put a pin pretty much in the middle of this area and have that as a backstop for people to use. So that's fine. It's just whether I raise it up a tiny bit so they're shot afterward. If they go too long, I'd like it to run away a little bit behind. So it should start to taper away now. And they're going to have a lot of left to right there. It's just this little channel through here needs sorting out. Let's use a slightly harsher brush this time to get that flat. So this should fit the contour of that quite nicely, I think. That should get us reasonably flat through that. Not quite what I wanted. Let's try that again. Let's take it a bit bigger this time. Yeah, we've got that flatter now. This, you could be there all day with green sometimes. So I would like, off the back of this bunker, I don't know if I'm going to have a little bit of raised area through here, say 4 or 5 inches off the back of there, and then towards this side I feel like it needs something. So if we go to this one, just get that going through there, lift that up a little bit. It's sort of, no, because I need to get a pin over the back here on this left side, so it's got to be reasonably fair. That's just crazy. So if I leave that there with a little bit of land in front and a little runoff behind, it's kind of doable. And then I can, for a bit of character, we can just raise this whole side up a little bit so things taper down towards there a little bit more. See how that affects our green, which it has, which is fine. We'll just go to the flatten again, take it up, bring it out. I don't mind a little bit of kick off the actual fairway, but I want to keep the green obviously fairly smooth. It's just, this is the thing with greens, the more you move one side, obviously the next side becomes affected, so I don't want to get into the green side of it too much really. Got a basic bit of movement here now, that'll do. So let's kick that off. So all I've been trying to do is just do the basic strategy of what I'm trying to achieve, and I can fine tune all the pins later when it comes to the point where I need to. So that's that. So start getting some rock work in. So this looks like quite craggy sort of, because I'm not copying this course completely. I think I'm going to run some dunes along here and then cut some rock work into the bottom of the dunes, or grass work all around here. Let's start getting some rocks in first. I always like to start off with something quite bulky along the edges of these 2 points. I've been playing around with this rock and I had some nice results with it on this section over here. I did it here. This is all that rock, which I thought looked quite nice coming off the back of there. So that's the sort of thing. Yeah, no, I'm just a self-taught, persistent, stubborn git, mate. That just likes to work out things for himself. I don't really watch many, well, I've never really watched tutorials of how anybody else does it, because I just like to do it that way. It's the way my brain sort of works. I like to figure stuff out stupidly, and I would have saved myself years if I'd have just listened to people or watched better people than me doing it at the start, and I probably would have saved myself bloody years, mate. But I've always done stuff like that, and I've always sort of, just the way my brain works, I'm afraid. It's not that I don't know, I just like I enjoy the sort of figuring out part, you know. As long as it may take me, I don't really give a crap about how long it takes me, sort of thing. It's like the cameras and stuff. I could have watched videos of other people doing the cameras, but I just thought, no, I'm going to piss about with the settings until I think I get it working how I want it to work. Which is, like I say, just really stubborn. So that's like when I'm looking at this hole. I'm thinking that whole thing needs to be raised up more. So, because we're not putting no planting in around that area still, we can just raise up that part there until we find the bit that we want to raise up. Take it up another 4 foot. Obviously we've lost a bit of the rock work here, but all we've got to do is just raise that little bit down now. I know I don't know if being artistic helps. But I used to do a lot of drawing and stuff like that, and I don't know if that helps give you an eye for doing all the visual stuff. I suppose it does. I used to quite like being into, I was never massively into art or anything, but I enjoyed it. I used to work in London, and you could pop in the National Gallery because it's all free. You could look at all the great paintings from the masters, Rembrandts and Rubens and people like that, real good landscapers. I used to love the way they used to do things with lighting and getting things to bounce off stuff with lighting, and just used to think, bloody hell, you can do that with just a brush and some paint. It's amazing. So I've always enjoyed landscaping and stuff. And I'm forever looking at things like this when I'm out and about. Especially now I've started designing more. I've spent quite a bit of time lately at a place right near where I live, and that's got a lot of dunes and stuff. So that obviously inspired me to start looking at doing a dunes course, because I was just walking through the dunes and I could just think, God, this would be a wicked par 3. You had these massive, big sort of dunes like these as you're walking through them and climbing over them, and it just looks awesome. So that's where the inspiration for this course came. And like I said, I've always wanted to do something in Australia as a course, because I did live there for quite a while. So now we've done all that, we can start coming off here a lot more now. I'm sort of shaping this rock work out a bit more. We're going to be putting in tons of it. These next 2 holes are going to be a little bit more expensive on the meter than some of the holes coming up. I've got to do a lot of work on this beach work round here to get to this hole back here. It's going to be a shared green, so all this is going to need a lot of work. But when I'm into here, these 3 holes are going to be pretty much working off each other, so I'm going to save a ton of plant in there. So I'm not too worried about how much I spend in meter on these next 2 holes. It should work nicely. We could just keep running rock work off of here, just keep building it up, and we can fit more in between. I just don't know how far. I'm going to take it out quite a long way. When you look at the actual hole I'm working off, I've turned it off now because I'm just going to do it through memory now. A lot of this is going to sort of start running down into the beach, encroaching on it. We'll start to get lower and lower until it's just sticking out tiny little bits like that, starting to just poke through. And we can do that all the way. And then it's going to be a case of what we do up near the actual green itself. Whether we finish all that land off with, it's going to be grass, I would imagine. We'll just do some crazy grass with some bushes in and around it. So I just want to get everything off the tee in view at the moment. I'm not worried too much about stuff around the tee box. I can do all that at another point. That's all the tidying up parts later. I'm just going to keep bringing this rock work out. Filling in all these little gaps. Again, we can use little bushes and things to fill in a lot of those. I'm going to keep that one there. Fill in that there. And I'm going to start stepping it at the back a little bit and blending it into the stuff behind, like that. And we'll work all the way along where I've done the bedrock, was my sort of line of a guide that I'm going to work to, and then I can grass all around the green bit. It's just finding the shapes and fitting them in like a little puzzle so they look sort of natural and not all like one bit of rock. So that's that through there. I don't know how much I'm going to take this way. We'll just start to put in a little bit of grass along this edge to see what it looks like. Placed grass. Just run a little bit through here for now, so we can get a guide. As I say, it's a lot harder when you're doing it live. Because you're not quite as free in your thinking. But that's starting to look like something. Let's get some trees in. So we're pretty much only using this tree throughout the whole course. How much could we bring that onto the rock? Just going to try blending in some of these little edges a little bit more, just give them a little bit of texture. And then all the way up here I want rock work. And looking at the rock work they used, or in the picture was not that. Let's get to the right bit. It's more like this sort of rock. There was a couple of real sharp bits that stuck out, just like at the top here. See, it's the wrong angle for that. So let's take away a little bit of that land. Drop that down a little bit, just below the water. And a little bit around the back. Hopefully I can get that better angle now for this next bit of rock. Nature stone. Back to this one. Yeah, so we can start to work this one in there now. This will be mainly what goes around the back of this whole section. Just blend little bits in with it. Yeah, when it comes to sort of just keep decided, just spend as much time in it as you can. I mean, we all make loads of mistakes when we start. Still make them now. Nothing is perfect, but we can start to. It's just the confidence you get when you can sculpt. Once you can sculpt, then you can start. You don't feel intimidated with any ideas that you come up with. You can think, I can sculpt that, and you sort of crack on with it. But making fun, challenging courses is the key to it. Not being afraid to just keep changing things and persevering. Getting feedback from players is key. As if Bidam was here earlier. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing you need to accomplish, mate. Is your sculpting. You just got to keep playing with it and keep working it. It took me, I'd say it's only really the last 2 years that I've got better at sculpting. And it's only really been the last year that I've got to a point where I think I'm happy to sculpt anything and feel confident that I can pull it off. Might not always be as great as I wanted it to be. Like that bunker there isn't quite as good as I want it to be yet. But problem is, I think with this bunker, it's just with sculpting, I suppose you've always got the option just to push back and undo what you just did. So just try something, and if it doesn't work, just undo it. So I'm going to raise that up again. You know, just keep trying it. If it doesn't work, then bring it back again. I think. Hey buddy, expect you in ages. How you doing? I don't think you've seen this cool yet. This cool shirt, have you, mate? So yeah, it's just confidence, really. I mean, you've got to find a couple of tools that make sense in your head. I've found, as you can see, I don't use that many different tools. Good, mate, good. Good. I don't think you've seen this course, have you? Or have you been watching any of it, Lee? I'm really excited about this one, buddy. It's looking pretty unique, I'd say. So I'm just going to keep building this bit up. With these rocks here, I can always blend them back in if there's any sharp edges underneath. And then I'm going to sort of creep rock work up this sort of section. But this one I don't think is going to work anymore. I can do little layers like this as I go down, but you're just going to be so repetitive in a minute. It'll just look. We'll see what we can get away with. Let's have a look. See how far we can keep bringing it down. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm really excited about this one, mate, if I can pull it off. Just for the playability of it, that's the thing I want to be able to pull off. If I can get the greens running now, I want to get them running and make it a challenge and get it working. I'll be chuffed, because I think looks wise it's looking really cool. It's all inspired from this Tasmanian golf course, which I had no idea about when I first started it. I did start the first hole. Thanks, mate. Hope so. And a lot of people were just messaging me saying, "Did you was that Barnbougle? Was that inspired by Barnbougle?" I'd never even heard of Barnbougles, but obviously the first hole must have looked like it. So I looked at it and started watching videos on the course and was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." So I haven't nicked any hole off Barnbougle, but I've sort of looked at how they've done the greens and the way it sort of the fairways run, and I've tried to just sort of emphasise that in this course. So we're just stepping all this rock work down still. It's going to be a case of how well I can do all this grass work through here. So I want another big rock up here. So that needs something on this little bit here. Not that one, that's the wet one. So in a minute we can start putting some of those wetter rocks down by the water's edge. When we get a bit lower, we can start dropping in some of those sort of ones where the water's washed over the top of them. We just want a real jaggedy, sharp drop off on this cliff. So bits of rock jutting out, and I want to bring some rock work out at the bottom here. I don't just want it dead flat going into the water like that. So let's get some more stuff going through here. We'll start. This is a good one to taper out, because as you see, once I bury this back bit in the wall there, I can make it a bit bigger, and it sort of just gives you a little taper out. Obviously all this stuff isn't going to be in the player's eye, so I can afford to make these rocks really big. This was, the closer I get to the player, the smaller I'll make the rocks. And then we're going to have to start. Let's have a look at the shape of that from above. I want to keep that cut in there. I want some more coming off here. So this is my favourite one for sort of bringing stuff out like this, because it tapers down really nice. But I don't want it all to be exactly the same, so we need to get something else going up through here. Try and change the shape of what's about. It was really, from what I can remember, looking at the picture, I've turned it off now, it's gone, but it was just rock everywhere on this little bit. It really was crazy, sort of, how much stuff was about. So I need to start creeping out rock further now. So we're going to go back to the flatter one, bring it up, get back in here again, start bringing all this right out. Actually went out really far. And I'm going to start adding some of the wetter ones in a minute when we get to the edge. There's no point doing that yet until I get to sort of where I think I'm at the border of the how far I'm going to bring it out, and then I'll start putting all the wet rocks in. But we've got to make it work all the way around the back as well, otherwise it's going to look odd. I'll have a look off the tee again in a minute. At the moment I'm just concentrating on the areas that are on the tee. And we do need to start getting some stuff running up here as well. So like I said earlier, I'm not sure if I'm just going to start cutting in some... The course I was looking at hasn't got this, but I think for my course I've got so many bunkers and stuff in play at the moment. I'm just going to start cutting in some stuff up here and having some more stuff coming around just to be in sight of the player's eye when they're off the tee, just to make it look more intimidating, even though they won't really be in play. Just cut some... Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the one thing, we haven't used bunkers in this actual whole design. It's all terrain painting, so we don't want that, do we? Let's get back to where we was. Try and drop something in there. And I want another one through here. I don't know, mate. I just do them sporadically, really. Obviously they'll be saved anyway into the playlist, so you can watch them at any point, even if you can't make it or you're busy while you're doing it. It's going to be on anyway, so don't feel worry about it, mate. You'll be able to catch it at any point. I'll put it in a playlist, so it'll be in there with all the other videos. So along here now. Yeah, it's now I've got this. I've always said once I've got the first hole done, I just sort of rinse and repeat now. But I really wanted to focus on trying to do a course, mate, where I was getting all these terrain painting tools going, because that's the key to making everything look unique and different. And they've given us these tools, so we've got to get stuck into it. After doing Catch 22, it was quite a safe course for me to do, really. I've done lots of courses with tree line, stuff like that, haven't I? So it wasn't really a challenge. I just really was focusing on strategy on that course, just trying to get some stuff going that I didn't... I just enjoyed doing all the little trees that were in the way on that course. And it only started out as a tutorial. That whole course was just a tutorial video, and I thought, sorry, I might as well finish it. Didn't take too long, so. But yeah, I've wanted to do an Australian course for ages. I just wasn't sure of how I was going to get it. I don't know, I wasn't quite sure where in Australia. I knew I wanted it sort of up in Queensland, but this isn't really like Queensland. It's quite tropical for the parts that I was visiting, and this isn't really tropical. This is more dark and dirty. And obviously the parts in Tasmania where lots of these courses are set are a lot more greener than this. I would like to have used something like the countryside sort of theme for the backdrop. So in terms of Australia, it's got the red soil and the nice dark, it could be somewhere in Australia, but not anywhere in particular, if you know what I mean. The course is influenced from a Tasmanian course, but this is definitely not a Tasmanian sort of backdrop. From what I've never been there, to be honest, so, but from what I've seen, it's a lot greener and lusher and a bit cooler, so you wouldn't have all this sort of arid sort of land. But it's a nod towards the area. We're not trying to create anything in particular, so we don't worry too much about it. People will get the gist. hopefully. If they don't, there's not a lot I can do about it. That's that. So now I can dip this down a bit at the front. Now I've got that whole lip in play. Thanks, Tim. It's coming together, mate. It's been really fun, to be honest. I love doing this one. It's because for some reason I'm normally under a hell of a lot of pressure when I do courses because I'm an overplanter, and I tend to put myself under pressure by planting heavily at the beginning of a course and then spend the rest of the design panicking how I'm going to get it finished, whereas this one is right on track at the moment. I don't know if I've made those too high, so it's not been stressful, you know what I mean, so I'm quite enjoying it for once. And because you can be really creative with it, there's no sort of set rule. I might have to sort of, excuse me, blend in some of this stuff around here. Yeah, it worked out. That was the main thing with Catch 22, was that's what I was looking to do, was really work on my strategy. The course we did with Lee and Rannoch Moore, working together, just looking at the strategy, because Lee's a player and I'm not really a player. I play the game, but I'm not in the standard of other players. So that was a real help for me, thinking about how they approach shots, and I thought I can incorporate that. That's why I really wanted to work with Lee, because I knew I'd get that sort of player's perspective. Make me think about what I'm doing more. I was always good at it, but I was always more competent at the visuals, but getting the strategy. So when I did Catch 22, I really focused on that, and it came out really well. I was really pleased with that. But it was making it a lot harder than I would normally make courses, because I've always been a player, and I have been a player that's not the greatest player. I've tended to lean towards making fairer courses, because I'd play shots that I think are hard where other players would think, oh, that's bloody way easy, you know what I mean? So I always came from that angle, but I'm coming at it from an angle now where I'm just trying to make more challenging courses. I can get the visuals looking great and then get the challenge side of it as well, then hopefully I'm onto a bit more of a winner. I might not get the plays I used to get. Some people might get a little bit more frustrated that the course isn't as easy as some of my older ones, and maybe they were more enjoyable, but I've got to evolve, and otherwise I'll just keep creating the same stuff over and over, and one, it's boring to do, and two, it's you've got to keep working it. Yeah, I know you've mentioned it on Facebook a couple of times, haven't you, Kelly, that trying to get the harder, more practical courses. Yeah, it's just a case of, as I said, just trying to evolve, mate, isn't it? You know, you push yourself. I was always very focused on the visuals, wasn't I, before? And like I say, I've got to the point now where I feel like I can sculpt most things, so I've got no excuse now not to try and take it to the next level and try and push the strategy now more. This stuff I find, I don't sound like a plum, but I find it's not easy, but I find there's no pressure on me to do all the visuals now. I'm pretty confident with it all. So it's freed up my mind to start thinking about the actual course now, if you know what I mean. I've got my set way of doing planting and rock work, and I could do it quite quickly. I mean, how long have we worked on this hole now? It's been just about an hour now. We've achieved quite a lot in that hour. So that's the look I was looking at there, getting all those steps coming down, but I don't want it to be so steppy, if that's the thing. So I want to try and break that up with something different, just running through the middle of there just to get a little bit of different character. So we'll try a few diagonal rocks. There's definitely a part there where I can see a pattern repeating. Just by putting those in, hopefully that will just break up that little section through there now. That looks alright to me. Down in there's looking a bit weird. I think we're going to be making all this out of bounds for safety. Quite easily get nestled down in a lot of these rocks. We don't want that. So a lot of this will be out of bounds. So, thanks Chris. Cheers buddy. It's starting to get there. Still not exactly. I want to get more. I've just got to think how to do it and what rocks to use. I just want more random rocks just lying around now. Small ones, so I guess I'm just going to have to just give myself the answer, am I? We need more smaller rocks that are going to blend in with these ones. They're a bit too granite. So stones come off the place. Ooh. Bear with me a second while I'm just flicking through some rocks. Trying to find some random ones. Oh, come down. They could work, but I don't really want the green on top. Oh, no, they're all green, aren't they? Come on. There's got to be something decent here we can use there. Too clean, too white. Have we one in here somewhere? That's not too bad. We can get better than that. This one. No. This one. No. Yeah. This one. I like that rock, but it repeats quite easily. Probably just that first one I'll have to do. So it's just a case of whether I can make them smaller, I suppose. And I might just start spamming them, but I'll spam a few and just see how it goes. And then I have to change the angle of them. I don't think it'll work. It's going to look odd. I don't think we'll get away, even if we change it to this direction, make them a bit smaller. I still don't think we could spam rocks, and we're going to waste a hell of a lot on the meter doing that. What have we gone up to? 59.2 there. It's going to look crap from above. Undo both of them. That's not the way to do it. So I don't know. Let's have a look off the T for a minute. Let's run some grass up here actually. Let's try and blend in this little section. Probably just go for a couple of hours tonight. See how much we can get done in the next 45 minutes. Just going to blend in these edges now with this grass. Get that up there. And then blend that round and run in another course just to thicken it up. So that looks like from a distance. Just catching the light nicely, which is quite cool. Still need some more down here. So we're going to use the trees. Use my favourite bush that I'm doing on this course. This will give me a lot of the filling in areas, so I could just run grass around here afterwards, just to blend everything off the edge of that fairway, because I do want to fill in a lot of this land. I don't just want to leave it brown like that on top. I'm just going to start dropping these in at random little spots, twisting them and dropping them down. Can we get any higher through here? It's not too bad, I suppose. Then we'll drop another one in here. Maybe that. Maybe that. I found that if I do the rock as the main bush here as the border, then I'm going to get a better blend, and I can start trying to hide some of these into this area now. What we've done throughout the rest of the course is have this bush running all the way through these bunkers up on the hills and stuff, so we need to continue that theme for it to work. It's just a case of dropping them in and spinning them and twisting them. Made them as small as we can here. Just checking the back, make sure it's not going to hit the fairway, which is fine. Running that in. Running that in. Yeah, it's just I need to get a good view of the actual tee box in a minute, just to recheck what I'm doing, making sure I'm getting the views that I want to get. As we come down here, there's not a lot I can do off the back of this. I made this ridge so bloody tight. I might be able to get away with it. It's just going to be a hell of a lot of the slanted grass. I'm going to have to run off the bottom of this to blend all that in better. We'll just bring this bit of bush back to this little gap here, and we'll have a look off the tee, see what we're seeing. It's too high there. Let's encroach this way more. I think we need to do the other bunker as well in this style. The bunker at the front. It's my intention to leave it a little bit freer, but I don't think we can get away with it. I think we need to drop in all this grass around it. Let's have a look. I think we need a bit up through there as well. Drop in there. And then we'll try and get this all done. I've just got to be careful of the back of this bunker. There's a couple of other bunkers which I've made too. I mean, we can always drop that bit of fairway down a tad more if we need to. Nothing major, I suppose. We'll see what it looks like. But yeah, I'm sort of running out of ideas for tutorials really, unless people want to come up with something for episodes. It's going back to basics. I could do maybe some more sculpting stuff, but I only really use a few tools for sculpting, so somebody did ask me how I do mountains and stuff. That's starting to take shape through there. Only thing is we need to leave a little area for people to be able to access that bunker. So do we do it from this side? It's a bit too steep. Need to run something through here. Oh, where are we? That one can come out. go down that. And we can just leave a little path there for someone to access that bunker. Stanbrook, how you doing, mate? One of my old mates is on. Known for about 30 odd years, probably longer. Would it be about 1990, Matt, wouldn't it? 35 years. You'll love this one, Matt. It's right up your street. So, just got to start bringing this grass round, really, haven't we? Getting this all 91, yep, 91. And then I've got to guess how we're going to get to the hole. So what we need to do is run a path around here. Follow me a bit of grass all the way around, and we need to get into here, don't we? And then up. We could come along here and then come up through here, create something around the back and join onto the hole that way. Which might be a bit easier, to be honest. So let's start to do that now. So these were all the things years ago I would have really struggled with, how to work out how to put a path in there. But all we need to do is create something flat to start with, and then we can blend everything in afterwards. So we'll find a reasonably flat shape and we will enlarge it. Get to the height we want this side, which is about here. Do that, and we'll try and do another one to get us back to where we need to be. Doesn't matter how much that land slopes out at the bottom at the moment. Still not as flat as I want to be, but we can flatten that with a sharper tool in a minute. That'll do. So then if we cut a path in, so let's bring a path off here. Let's cut path 1 minute. That's the one we're using. And we're using 3. And we are going along. So we'll bring that along there. Round through there. Up. And over. And we'll smooth all that land out in a minute. So either side of that, I'm going on a layer of topsoil. So if we make that 3, that will bleed into the rocks. That will be fine. I'll do for a minute. Let's actually make that grass topsoil a bit wider, actually. That should cover that. Then we just need to focus on flattening out this little bit, so we'll just use my favourite tool. Not that one, this one. And then obviously once we've done this bit, it's going to help because I can fill in the bit to the left of the path now, all rock work. Now bring that all round. And we can do the bit to the right of the path, probably bushes and grass. So that'll finish that little section off. And we could maybe even put a little fence in or something, but probably just grass. I think it'd look more natural. By the time we've hidden that funny, this edge here is all obviously really smooth and blah blah blah. So we will just start running some rocks around there. What are we on? 2 hours. I want to go for another half hour. We can achieve quite a lot in half an hour. So we're going to go back to this shape because it tapers away nicely again. We'll start bringing that through here. Not too worried about the bottom at the moment. Those rocks will be raised off the floor, as you can see, but we'll finish that in a minute with those other rocks, the flatter ones. So as we start to creep back closer to the tee box, we're going to start minimising the size of these rocks, because they'll get in the player's view and they'll look massive. I think because it's quite dark through this little section, the sun's behind that big hill there, we'd get away with it. If the sun was really shining on them, it'd look a bit odd, I think. I think we can get away with that. So we can put these ones in now and just join up all these little sections, make sure everything's hid. Underneath, change the angle so we're not always the same. Make sure it's all hid. That's bringing that out nicely. Another one there, we'll just shrink it down. Obviously, when I continue doing all this off camera later, or tomorrow or whenever, I'll be looking at finishing this all the way around this rock, which is going to be just a waste of your time, me trying to do that on camera. So then we will. You like it, Matt? It's working quite well, mate. This is my Tasmanian course, Matt. Started off in Australia and ended up started off in Queensland and ended up in Tasmania. So but even again, it's not really Tasmanian countryside, a lot of it. I tried changing themes. I tried going for a countryside theme to get the Tasmanian sort of backdrop of the lusher greener, but it didn't work. Because I've done the whole course as, whole course is this funky L shape. I couldn't get the same backdrops. It was always offering me land around here and it just looked a mess, and this was the only way I could get it to work. So let's get all this going how I wanted it. It's got that reddish Australian look to it, so just got to try and create that all the way around now. I've done it all the way around here. Just got to take it back through these last few holes. So yeah, now we're back to here, aren't we? So next we can run a bit of grass along this whole section. I can just blend all this in. I can get this bush about here. And obviously once I've done all the main stuff, I'll just add little bushes here and there of different colours and different styles, so it's not just repetitive along here. I might do that in a minute just to emphasise that point. So grass, let's go to grass, and then I'll be doing all the fine points of the grass as well much later. I won't be doing that today. So when I get to grass that I want people to see close up, I'll be using the slanted angled grasses. These are all just fillers basically. I don't want to go too thick through that. Let's have a look where we are before I start spamming it too much. So we need to get a bit thicker through here. This will have to be another bush there. That could be there, and we'll just keep running that through there. That's about as much as I want to spam that. That's picked up that side. So there'll be areas where you've got floating little bits of grass here. And I've got other bushes I can use to fill all those bits in, like these darker ones. Just pick those up, drop them in. That'll break up what we've done, add a little bit more texture. We don't just want to randomly keep repeating that one, but we've got others. So most of the whole course is pretty much done with that one bush and that one bit of grass. The rest is just filling in little areas that the player's going to see more and just putting in different bushes and breaking it all up. That's why we've managed to save on the meter so well. So we've got this sort of yellowy one that we can just drop in here. Twist it around, bring it down a little bit. Get that through that. So as that hill comes up from this low point, as it rises up, we can have a bush and just make it a bit higher, just to try and work on that point of it coming up. But I think we've done it already, really. Let's try a different one. Get that through that. Then off the point, I would like maybe a dead tree off the point here. So let's have a look at this one. And I've done that on quite a few of the holes already. Well, it looks quite cool, so it's not going to hurt, is it? Use that one for now. And we're going to be looking at just doing something over here, aren't we? So we can either make like a big sand dune there and just cut in some bushes around it, so we can save on meter that way. So if we just run a sand spline through there, cut it down a little bit. Probably going to have to do the same on the back, so I'm not going to plant all that. We can just add a little bit of that in, and then we can really only got to do the top section with bushwork and the old bush. And maybe just drop in some little bits to overhang some of that bad sculpting there. Or I could just re-sculpt it, but for the sake of a bush it ain't going to hurt. If there was a eucalyptus tree bat, I would use it, but there isn't one. There is kangaroos available though, but I'm resisting the temptation of whacking a roo. I was going to call the course Bundaberg Run. Little play on words, but it's nothing like it. No Tasmanian devils available, just roos. No sharks. Be nice to get a little shark in there. So that's that bit. I think if I run the rest of this bedrock section, make that grass. There is crocodiles, but you wouldn't get crocodiles in Tasmania, mate. In Tasmania, mate. Like I say, I don't even know where this is set in Australia now. The course is based on a Tasmanian course, but the actual land itself is nowhere Tasmania, so... Or the backdrop. Anyway. From my limited experience of Tasmania, as I've never been there. But what I can see on the old TV, it don't look like that. I've heard it's the most sort of Englishy style place. Sort of vegetation and stuff. Fields and farms and trees and such like. Greenery. Which is unlike anywhere I've been in Australia. It's all been quite dark and arid. Rainforesty or... I don't know if I like that grass on the right, to be honest. Let's take that out. Thought it looked fine before. Just barren. So that's that. What can we do here? Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them, Matt. Pretty isolated down there, aren't they? Drag that handle around there. Bring that bit of land. And we'll just make all this bedrock. Just for a minute. Haven't looked at the tee shot in ages, so we need to have a quick look at that. See if there's anything obvious. That'll do for there for a minute. Gives us something to work with. Let's get rid of that. And underneath all that, there was some rock. So if I can push that back a little bit, let's find a better shape. I should expose a little bit of rock under there. Just don't want to affect that fence too much. Or I could just cut the fence off. Cut that bit of grass off. That bit of path, sorry. Just bring it back. Gives us a little spot for another tee anyway. Just to the right here, somewhere here. Raise it up a little bit. Get rid of this bit of spline for this. So these last few points need to go. Let's work quickly so we can get where we want to be. That point needs to go. And these points on this bloody split. Split spline. Delete that. We'll just carry that on a bit. We can carry that. I don't know. I only really want it to protect people from this little bit here, so we only need to drag it up to here, don't we? That'll cover that a little bit. That's fine. And then we'll have to put in some steps up to get up to that green, that tee box, sorry. And we'll cut in some rock work all the way around the back, all the way up, all the way around. I'll do that at a later date. That's what we've achieved in the last couple of hours, so it's not too bad. It's going to need a lot more tweaking yet. So what we can do off camera when you see it next, hopefully it will be a bit more detailed. Let's have a look at the tee shot. A bit of a sip of me drink. I want to save the course before I forget. So we'll crash now, Marla. So let's have a look at the tee. It could be that we could add a few trees on this hole just to give it a little bit more character. Let's put tiger on. Play hole 11. Yeah, it's looking quite cool. There's my pins over the back there. You can still see some of the holes off in the distance behind some of those dunes right in the distance, just on the top of the green, which makes it look like the back of the green, so that's quite cool. See some of those trees, see our path. Yeah, catch you later, matey. Cheers, mate. I ain't going to be on much longer. I'll see you soon. Yeah, and obviously we're going to be building the rest of the course on that barren bit of land to the left, so that'll all show up later and look a bit more interesting. At the moment it's quite blank. Just looking at what I can do on the right here. We're going to have another tee box there, aren't we? So there's not a lot I can do too much to the right. Let's have a look at playing the shot. It's nice and tight, so it's hopefully going to play quite well. It's a case of stopping it off the back of this bunker if we're going to get a nasty kick or not. Which we did, which will push us down and drop us onto this heavy rough. Which gives us a nice little chip back to try and save par, which is quite cool. Let that run round and then we should have quite a bit of movement for that putt, which is not going to go in, so it's working. It needs a little bit of fine tuning for the strategy of it. So that's tee shot. Let's have a look from above. I can definitely see what needs to be done. Where are we? 11. We need to bring a lot more rock work out this way. So we've got all these points coming off all the way around, so it looks a bit more even. I think we need to bring a bit more out, maybe through here. I'm not sure. But from the ground, it seems to be working pretty cool. A lot of these I think we're going to leave as high cliffs at the back. How long have we got left? 15 minutes. We're going to go for about another 15 minutes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody that's been along and watched it. I would have been doing this anyway tonight, so I thought I'd just jump on and do a little live. Just to have a little chat with a few people. So we'll be continuing this cliff work round the back. It's just a case of flattening it all out with a little bit of different rock to blend it in from the green side, so we're not getting the same repeating pattern. We've got 3 in a row there, and then we're going to have to start overlapping some and dropping in. I want to keep the flatness of the drop off, so I'm just going to start dropping these down a little bit now, slotting them into there, slotting that into there. That's fine. And then in this area up here, we're going to need a slightly different rock to sit in there a little bit tighter. It's going to have to go this way around. So I'll try and boulder that off there, you know what I mean, so we don't get trapped in that little section there. But like I say, I think I'm going to have to make all this out of bounds all the way around the edge of this brown grass, basically. Because there's too many hazards there to get stuck in. I can't stand that. I've done it before, made that mistake of getting players stuck in stupid rock work places and not out of bounds it. Well, now we've got the spline out of bounds, so there's no excuses to do that. So we can just put one more in here. That finishes that edge of that off now. And then we will be running the green bush again. Quickly get that done. Just to finish off the top of those cliffs. Then we'll be running grass all the way around the edge of the fairway. Quite tight to the fairway. Just changing the angle again. Twisting them. Getting some interesting shapes going. Again, we'll be putting some more different bushes in there. So now we've done that, we can run in some grass now. I just want to get rid of these crappy coloured grasses that are auto-genned. Too close to the fairway. Yeah, too close to the fairway. Anywhere else I need to get rid of them for a minute. There's a couple up here, aren't there? We're going to need to do something off the back of this through here. We've got that bush encroaching there. It's annoying. That one. drop that down, should get rid of it. I've got a couple here, squeeze that over. There's not a lot of room I've got left on the back of that green to work with that. Oh, that's the point. God, that's annoying. So along the back of here I'll be running grass all the way around here, all the way around here, and then I'll be using the spiky angled grasses on the edges that are really close to the, so I don't get, I'll show you quickly what I mean. So we'll make it quite small grass, to be fair. We'll start running that around here like this, getting it quite close to the fairway. If there's any that are too close, I'll just move them in a minute. Get a little bit tighter through there. So I've just encroached on a couple there. I'll do all that at a later date, start moving them back out of the way. And then off the back of that bunker, I can show you what I'll be doing for the rest of it to make that work, because they'll be floating. So they're all floating. That last run was a bit tight, to be honest. Just gonna have to move a couple back quick. Squeeze them back over. Yeah, a couple. So that's that bit. And then we'll be doing this sort of thing here with this grass. Blah, 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 that one. So we'll get it to here. I've affected the height of it manually, so I could just keep working it in any direction I want. I don't want it obviously just being uniform and rotating in clockwork fashion all the way around. You're going to need some bigger, some higher, some at completely different angles. Give it that wild look. And when you step back from a distance, it'll get that sort of wild, rough look to it once we've done it all, without making it too. See, I think I went too close with one line of those bushes there. One line of those grass runs. I should have stuck that back a bit more. But there's other grasses we can put along here as well that will break all that up. Just got to keep twisting them and raising them and creating a nice little area through there. It doesn't look quite right yet, does it? There's other things we can do to get around that. We can flatten that little bit of area off the back of that bunker out so it doesn't look so wild. So let's get this tool here, try this, see if we can save ourselves a bit of planting. Let's come around the back of this bunker and just try and tease that bit of land up so it's a bit flatter off the back of there. And we'll do the same over to the right, over here a little bit. Yeah, it should be a bit flatter, and we should have lost those raised bits of grass. We're going to get a bigger kick off the back of that, but I may just move the green slightly out the way so we can. Do I want to use that? No, I should use the points, not the handles. So we'll just creep the green out a little bit, lose a bit of it, but never mind. Probably a bit too tight to the back of that bunker anyway. Let's just bring this out quickly. Probably go for another 10 minutes. What can I do with this one here? I'm gonna have to move one of the handles to get that angle through here. We'll just try this handle first. Not really. Let's try the next one. This one here. That's the actual point. I'm going to move the whole point, sorry. Me being silly. That one. And then that one a tiny bit. That should get us to where we want to be. Let's go back and look at that grass now. So it's looking a bit wild up, but it still looks a bit too uniform. So we've got another bit of grass we can throw in. is actually a tree, sorry. A very low fitting in bush just along the edges, just to break things up a little bit. It's because I'm trying to rush, I'm trying to do it really quick. But yeah, you can see this sort of idea of what we're trying to achieve. That just need to make a little bit more grass, I think, like this. Just stick it up at various angles so it's not so uniform. It's all looking a bit too flat through there. By the time we've done that, worked it in a little bit more, we'll get a little bit more shape coming. It just takes time, that little bit. All these finishing touches are the sort of bits I spend a lot of time on. Trying to do it too quick is never going to work too well, and I'll be doing that all through here. I'll be having this bush, this sort of grass coming off of these points here, just sticking up ever so slightly. I'll just keep working it through until it's thick and wild looking. Just by sinking them down, we're never going to get any raised points, are we? So that'll be done all the way around, which will take time. But that's the idea of the hole. We need a little bit more rock work, a little bit more planting. Don't know whether to have a little tree coming off the top here for character. Let's just try that quick. I've been liking these oaks and these holes without encroaching too much onto the green. Something like that. And then quickly, I think I will just do the last bit of grass around the back. The filling grass. So we'll just fill it all in around here. Then we can run some surface weathering and some different bushes in between those little bits, just to thicken it all out a bit. Obviously I'm quite a distance here. And that'll be going all the way around to sort of this point around here. Blah blah blah. Round to there. That's that. It just needs to be thicker and broken up again. The same sort of process as the back, as the front, sorry. So we'll be throwing in slightly different grasses here and there. Not that one. Go for the tree one and that one. We'll just be throwing those in random places just to break up any lines that we can see, points. And then we'll be running off the back of this down to our next tee off of here. Our tee's over here, but we can shorten that off. So that's our hole. We've done it in 2 hours. We worked pretty quick. I'll be spending another probably hour or so on it. Not tonight. Maybe another hour. Yeah, definitely another hour on this hole to get it exactly how I want it. All the fine little bits I was showing you with the bent grass and the shaped grass, trying to get all those edges finished off like we've done over on other holes. Where can we show you? I don't think there's any on that one, was there? Just all these little areas around like this, finishing off all those bent areas off the edge of the grasses and getting all that in. So that's how we'll be doing that. That's what we'll be doing on that hole, just to give it that wild windswept look. So looking down, I always like to play the hole before. So when we're on the back of 10, this is the only issue I've got really. So I've got to do. I mean, it's not too bad, to be honest, because I can just do a hell of a lot of filling in with terrain painting without actually doing any major bits of planting. Sorry, get the brain working. So once we've filled in all these bits, we'll just start running some bedrock through the back here like this. We could link all that up to there, leave a little channel down the middle, that will be grass, bring that up to there, run all this down in bedrock back to here. And then we can go over with a layer of subsoil sand. Start getting a little Junie effect going. I think that's way too bright, isn't it, there? Don't like that. So what we will do is, where's that subsoil sand? Take the intensity off of that. Drop that off a little bit. Come on. Creep it up. Just having it sort of a little bit more textured through there. And then I'll be doing stuff like grass topsoils. This is so much terrain painting on this course. These are the sort of techniques I'll be doing, but these are the time consuming parts that I won't really bother you all too much with because it'll take me ages to get it done. But I'll drop a bit of grass topsoil off that spine there, and then I would fill in a bit of terrain painting through here. So we'll come down through here like this. Oh, that's my beginning point there. Alright, so that's that. And then to save ourselves all that planting, we only really need to run a bit of planting down here now. Obviously where all that's green on top of that hill, I'll be planting this bush all the way along. But we can start to creep this bush down now. Link it up to the other side of these orange grass. That's going to give us the back of the backdrop of what we're looking at from that hole. That's sort of how we're going to do the back of this hole now, which we need to do throughout this whole section, which is a redundant bit of land, which is a shame because I've been really trying to work the course to be really tight, but also I wanted to have a raised section up here, and if I took it too close to there we would have lost a lot. So sources for courses, we can definitely just do a lot of terrain painting through there and a bit of planting, get that looking as good as we can. So we've still got quite a bit of work to do. We're at 60%, but we've only got 6 holes left to do, or 7 holes left to do. 40% is fine. Play hole 11. And that's today's work. For now, I'll be doing a lot more. Excuse me. But thanks for watching, everyone that's tuned in. This will be saved on the thing, so if there's anything you want to go back and look at, it's all there. But it's going to need a lot more work, but hopefully next time you see it, it's going to be a bit more detailed and looking a bit more complete and finished. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Yeah, appreciate it. Cheers.